Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well, or as well as can be in this sort of alternate reality quarantine universe that we're in. I do apologize for the lack of videos. I have been doing my best, but I am graduating from university, so I am kind of overloaded with projects, and my mental health has not been the greatest. But I am back today, and we are going to make a new video about names. Also, can we just note how cute these earrings are? I never wore them before. I think my mom gave them to me, but they're purple with the fleur-de-lis, and I just really like them. I forget how much I love big obnoxious earrings sometimes, but these are definitely bringing back that love. Anyway, today we're going to talk about names. What's in a name, what's important about names, and why I've been thinking about this topic, basically. You may have noticed my channel got a rebrand. I think I kind of explained it, but basically I felt like my channel was too focused on being chronically ill. It was called That Chronic Illness Life, and I wanted to focus more on the life part, not so much the chronically ill part, because there's so much more to me than just being sick, you know? But I felt like the name didn't really reflect that, so I thought I would give it a change. I also wanted to change it, however, because I did recently discover that I identify, at least for now, as non-binary. And I don't really feel like going into that here. I'm not sure if you would be interested. If enough people are interested in that, I suppose I wouldn't mind talking about it, but I don't want that to be the focus of this video, because the focus of this video is names. And as you may have noticed, if you've been a long-time subscriber, I changed what I'm going by. So, hi, I'm Gem, not Meg anymore, and I would appreciate it if you called me that. Just kidding, that's not the end of the video. Basically, for as long as I can remember, I was kind of not really confused, more unsatisfied with my name. I have a very clear memory of being around 8 and playing with little dolls and being really into the name Tanya. And I think most kids would just pretend to be that, like named that, but I, of course, went to my mom and asked how one could legally go about changing their name. So, yeah. Now, I always really liked the story behind my name, because when my mom was younger, she wrote stories about a girl named Megan, so when she had a daughter, well, she named that daughter Megan. Unfortunately for her, or for me, or for both of us, I don't know, that was a really common name when I was born. So when I got to school, there were 3 to 4 other Megans, and teachers used to find it really funny to sit us all next to each other so they could then just point and say Megan and everyone would answer. Not really sure why. So I believe when I was around 9, I started going by Meg solely to differentiate myself, because I didn't want to be the same as everyone else. Not in a I'm not like other girls sort of way, just I wanted people, when they said my name, to think of me, and not necessarily 3 or 4 other students, if that makes sense. So I did that for a while, and for pretty much all of my school days, I went by Meg. And it was fine, I guess. I never really thought of myself. I referred to myself as Megan or Meg in my head, but it was usually just me, if that makes sense. So I wasn't super satisfied with it. And then when I went to Austria, I decided I wanted to have a fresh start. So I started by introducing myself as Megan there, which unfortunately led to the side effect of me always feeling like I was in trouble. I'm not really sure why this is, because my parents would usually call me Megan, but that wasn't necessarily a punishment, it was just what they called me. But when people started referring to me as Megan, I did feel like I was getting chastised, which was not what I had anticipated. But that was what happened. So when people in Austria started calling me Meggie, which is really common in Austria to put the E on the end of names, I loved it. It felt like I was more Austrian, because almost every Austrian person I knew had an E nickname that their friends called them, and it wasn't Megan, so I enjoyed that. Then when I came back to college, I went back to Meg, because in the US, E names are kind of seen as like cutesy or for kids, so I didn't want that either, so I just went by Meg again. It was fine. When I got my main job that I've had for most of college, I went by Megan, and then I was too awkward to say that I didn't like it, so I just kept being called Megan by my boss, even though that was literally the only place that people would call me Megan, which was a mistake, but that kind of explains my awkwardness in a nutshell. But then when I started getting into D&D and LARPing, I realized how much I loved character creating and picking the perfect name. So I discovered Fantasy Name Generator, which is an amazing website. People that want to pick names usually go on baby name websites, but Fantasy Name Generator has both real names from like any language you can think of, as well as fantasy names. So for like elves, dwarves, whatever. If you can think of it, it's probably there. They also have town name generators, tavern names, anything you can think of, it's probably on that website. So then I started thinking about it, and I started seeing posts like, you can change your name whether or not you're trans. And I was like, And then I started reading about gender. No, that's not right. I had actually been thinking about the gender thing before quarantine started, but I had never connected that to my name. It was just kind of, I thought, okay, this is my name, I can't change it. So I started thinking about it, and I was reading more about gender. I was reading tons about gender because I have so much time. And I was kind of remembering, okay, this is a digression, but when I was in high school, I was in a musical called Catch Me If You Can, and it's about a con man, and he uses a lot of different names, and there's one line that's like, what's a name? Just window dressing. Everybody knows it's the clothes that make the man. But yeah, he's talking about how names aren't important and how easily they can be switched. But I would have the opposite opinion, which is that names are really important, but they can still be switched. So my middle name is, I don't want to get too into this. Let's just say my middle name has a bad connection from something that happened in my past, so I don't necessarily love it either, so I didn't want to just start going by that. I actually made a character today that was a demon OC of mine, which is something that's kind of going around on TikTok, making demons that like eat abusers and things like that, and I gave her my middle name to sort of try and take it back, which was fine, but it still didn't feel like me. But when I make characters, I do try to pick like the perfect name for them that kind of encapsulates what I'm going for. So then I was like, well, I could do that for myself. Because another thing that's been happening as I've been growing older is really trying to like solidify who I am and who I want to be. I feel like I spent a lot of my younger years trying to sort of blend in or like suppressing parts of me, not even consciously necessarily, but just suppressing parts of me that I think would have been seen as weird. But now I'm an adult, I'm almost 23, and I'm kind of like, fuck it. I want to be happy. I want to wear whatever I want, do whatever I want, I want to live a life so that when I look back on it, I can be like, that is 100% who I was, and I'm so happy about it. So I started compiling a list of names. Originally, I wasn't sure if I was going to come out as non-binary or not. So I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, and I still don't, which is why I didn't make like a big coming out video or anything. So when I was thinking of names, I was also trying to think, is this a way that I can like conceivably just make it another nickname from Megan, so that if people ask and I don't want them to know, I can just say, oh, it's a new nickname I've been going by, because that's a thing people do. Both my parents go by nicknames, grandparents go by nicknames. It's a normal thing, right? So I made a list of names. Let's see. One of the names I had originally considered was the name of my first D&D character, which was Farah, spelled F-A-E, like Faye, R-A. But then I remembered there's a singer called like Farrah Fawcett, I think, and I didn't necessarily want to be tied to that, not because there's anything wrong with her, I don't think. I just didn't want it to look like I was stealing that name. Digression again, but I'm remembering how much I loved picking out names in language classes in school. They would have us like pick a Spanish name, pick a French name to, feel like you were more in with the language, I guess. And I loved that. My Spanish names, because I had two different ones for different classes, were Marisol, because I loved the Cheetah Girls. The second one, I think it is, when they go to Spain, I had such a crush on the singer, who was also called Marisol. And then later I chose Esperanza, which is hope, because I thought it sounded cool and I liked the idea of hope. And then for French, it was Elodie, which was actually on my list of names as well, but I didn't want anything that would be too hard to pronounce, because I didn't want to make it more of a thing. And then I thought about Gem, which seemed like a kind of cool, vaguely feminine, but not super feminine name, and it's also Meg backwards, which I just found really funny, and so that's what I chose. I started really slowly. Originally I just started going by it online, and then only with my close friends, and then eventually with my parents, and then obviously I did the whole switch. And here we are now. This may seem like it's been going quickly, and I suppose it kind of is, but I've never been a person to like make decisions and then be slow about them. I'm very indecisive, but once I decide on something, it's like, let's go. And who knows, it might change, but I think it's important to note that that's okay. I haven't done anything like legal changing my name as of yet. So if I want to change my name 10 times, I will. and I'm totally cool with that. I just wanted to be able to look in the mirror and say, this is me, this is who I am, this name represents who I am, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm also really interested in names. I like figuring out what names are based in what language and where people got them, like the stories behind them. I actually asked on Instagram a couple weeks ago when I was thinking about this video how people got their names. And so I would like to ask you all that now. How did you get your first name or your middle name? Or even your last name if you know. Did you choose it? Did your parents have a specific reason? Did they just think it sounded cool? I would love to know because these are things I'm interested in. So yeah, this is kind of a rambly video, but it's good to be back. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, check out all my social media and stuff if you're into that. I'm still pretty active on TikTok doing a lot of original character work. If you want to see me dressed as a demon that has fireballs, I would definitely head over there. I hand sculpted the horns I'm wearing, so like, come on, give me a little credit here. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing okay. I hope you're enjoying the springtime, even if we're mostly stuck inside. And I will see you soon. Bye.